all about the 80s, guys.
Yes. Which is a perfect segue.
See what I did?
Yeah, because the Carrie Diaries is the next one we should talk about.
Yeah. So,
Carrie Diaries.
Carrie Diaries. CW. I am so torn on this show.
Really?
But not for reasons that most people will have. I mean, but at the same time, it might be things most people have. If I watch this show and pretend it's Carrie Jones or Carrie, Smith, I think it's a fantastic show. It's one of the better CW pilots they've had in a while, excluding Arrow, which I think is probably the best pilot they've had in, 5 years. But, it's enjoyable. It's not over the top cringeworthy. It's it is in the 80s. We do get to see this different kind of era on television right now, because it's not like it's being overrepresented. Like, it's not like it's a doctor show or cop show where there's 500 things like it.
Yeah.
The thing that always bothers me, though, whenever I think about it, is just how not Carrie Bradshaw it is, and that's totally fine if they want to separate it. But they're also doing things in this pilot that are very much winking to the Sex and the City, the television show, and it's like, as someone who has watched Sex and the City, someone who has, who knows this character, it's a little bit difficult to reconcile the massive differences between what her life was like and what they're portraying this character's what life is like. And I understand it's a different version of Carrie because it's the book Carrie, but then stop tying it in the series.
Right.
And that's like the one thing that's keeping me from 125% loving it. So I'm only like 110% loving it.
That's still pretty good.
Which is still pretty good. It's still my second favorite pilot of mid-season.
That's pretty. I mean, and I do think that some of those were just because it's the pilot. I don't think all of the winks will be there forever. Like her writing, staring out at the window. I don't think they're going to do that every week.
They might.
I don't know, because
it might be like Lena's diary and Vampire Diaries, where they do it for a bit and then it goes out the window.
It's still the diaries, but it's not. Yeah.
Right.
But I'll say that I hated the book with a passion. I hated the book. I hated the script, and I really went into the pilot viewing expecting not to like it, and I was so charmed by it that I completely changed my opinion. Not of the book, because but I really, like, it's one of those things where, like, sometimes the acting really makes all the difference. Yeah. She really embodies this character, and I don't want to say she embodies Carrie Bradshaw, because the same thing. I agree with you. I treat it like it's a separate timeline, different Carrie. Part of the reason is because I felt Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City was so unlikable that I don't want to believe this sweet girl can grow into that, because I feel like that's a degradation of her character, and I want to have hope. I feel like the Carrie Diaries as a show, it's so innocent, it's so hopeful, it's such a throwback to a simpler time,
right?
Intentionally so, but I don't want to darken it by being like, oh my God, you grow into this whiny, cheating smoker. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to do that. So treating her like she did. So
she smoked so much.
I'll go back on your breaks and watch your DVDs. But what I really love is, like, it's the Carrie Diaries. So obviously it's completely centered on her, and it's about her coming of age and growing into herself and finding the place that she feels like she belongs, which is New York, and which is fashion and writing, and we'll get there when we get there. But it is similar to Sex and the City in the sense that, like, everyone, all her friends around her are really informing her, and vice versa. And I like that they kept that similarity, or if it's a similarity or whatever you want to call it, I like that they still did that. I mean, it's a little sad to think, like, these friends that she has, if you treat it like it's Carrie Bradshaw, she may never see again, because some of them are really interesting. And that's part of it too, is the fact that they've been able to create characters that are really unique and interesting, even though they're just high school kids. Yeah, I like that they're going places with that other shows don't really go. There's your typical popular girl, and there's the, like, new hot kid in school, but Walt's just the fact that, like, he's questioning his sexuality, and he has a girlfriend, but she kind of seems to know more about him than he does, and so she's, well, it's not really a spoiler, cheating on him. And I like all of those aspects because it's unique, and yet it's still relatable. it's still similar enough to if you're used to the Sex and the City dynamics of relationships and love and sex, and it's just taking the younger perspective, and it's doing it in a way that it feels very real. It feels very grounded.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, as much as I really do adore the pilot, I was watching, the clips they have for the show, and I was watching this thinking, as much as I hope it does well, I really wonder if it will.
I do too, because it's so innocent.
Because, it is so innocent, but it's also so much, as much as I love that they're diving into the 80s, it is very much the 80s, and not to sound old and judgmental, but I wonder if kids these days care. Like, I
don't think it'll. I don't think that the things that we can recognize as 80s will be as big a deal to kids that are in high school now.
But if you look at what Gossip Girl did, and it's like they were buying the phones the kids were buying. They were buying the clothes.
I don't think it's going to have that effect.
No, but it's like. But that's kind of the audience that CW is going for.
No, I know. But that's what I mean. Like, I agree with you in the sense that it's not a show like that.
No, it's not a show like that.
You know.
But I kind of wonder if this CW audience is ready for it. I hope they are. Because, again, I would really like the show to succeed. I think it's one of the better pilots they've done in a while, and it's definitely one of the better pilots of the mid-season. But I was watching those clips and thinking, I like this. I've seen this. I will tune in.
Because it's nostalgic, though, for us. If you're a teen... and I agree. I said this in my review. Like, if you're a teenager growing up today, I think Carrie seems too young for you. She doesn't really seem like a 16-year-old. She seems more like junior high.
Yeah, she seems like 14.
And that is only a few years difference, like, numerically, but it can be a big deal.
Right.
You know, and I kind of think it's more... It feels like it fits, like, ABC Family a little bit, because Bunheads is very similar. Those girls are very young and not necessarily naive, but they've been sheltered their whole lives.
Right.
And that's the point in the Carrie Diaries pilot. She's been sheltered. She's lived in suburbia. She's just now seeing this whole new world. But even the whole new world she walks into when she goes to that party in New York, it's a very tame party.
Yes.
Where if this is the fashion industry in the 80s in a club in New York...
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Or
they've been
Gossip
very...
Girl. Yeah, these days. Yeah.
Exactly. But, I mean, that's...
Yeah,
it does feel a little bizarre. World.
I'm very interested to see how it actually does, because as much as I find it adorable, and especially do like it,
I wonder.
I'm very curious to see if the CW audience that they've been attracting so far will flock to
I
it.
think they'll find an audience. I just don't think it'll be the audience that they want or expect. You know what I mean? Like if they're hoping to get the Gossip Girl audience, I think they're going to get people younger than the Gossip Girl audience. But those are still viewers. They're still valid.
Yeah.
So. I like it. I hope it does well. That was one that was. I just took me very pleasantly by surprise. So I was very excited.